sorry, there's a fourth trimester? No one even enjoyed the original 3. I mean, surely if there were meant to be 4 of them, they'd be called quadmesters.
Mind blown.
As it turns out, unlike Star Wars, Indiana Jones or The Terminator, the fourth trimester isn't a crappy reboot of a tired franchise. It actually refers to the 12 weeks or roughly 3 months after the baby's been born. The idea behind the fourth trimester comes from paediatrician and author Harvey Karp, who in 2002 suggested that human babies are actually born up to 3 months too early compared to other species. The purpose of the earlier arrival is to allow babies' heads to fit through the birth canal, although I'm sure there are plenty of women in labour who might want to argue that point. Are you kidding me? But Karp proposes it also means that newborns aren't ready for the world when they first arrive in it. In more practical terms, the fourth trimester refers to this period where parents and babies get used to their new lives, and spoiler alert, it's a shock to the system for everyone involved. We have thankfully come out of the other side of this with our daughter Lola, so in this video I'm going to share 10 lessons with you that will help you get through the fourth trimester and be more prepared than I was. Just before we dive in, if you're just about to have your baby or if you've just had it, Mazel tov. I've already created a video guide to surviving the first fortnight with a newborn. I can link to that in the corner. I'll cover that initial period where you get back from the hospital and you're cacking your pants because you don't know what to do next. Okay, let's crack on. Allowing time. You very quickly realise it takes you 4 times longer to get anywhere compared to before when you had a baby. Especially in the first couple of months when you pack the baby's change bag like you're about to go on a 3-week all-inclusive to Mallorca. Then you've got to contend with things like naps, feeding, getting them into the car seat, etc, etc. You will get better with practice, but you'll find at the beginning there's a real adjustment period and you will be late to things a lot. Try not to stress out too much about this. Anyone you know who's got kids will know what it's like anyway, and for more fixed appointments like medical appointments, just make sure you leave way more time than you think you're going to need and try and plan ahead wherever possible. Dealing with crying. This one's hardly a revelation, but dealing with crying can be really tough. On average, babies cry between 2 and 3 hours a day in their early months, which is more than at any other point in their lives, not accounting for teething or crazy teenage hormones. Babies start to cry more frequently after the first couple of weeks, peaking at around about the 2-month mark, but then it does start to get a little bit easier again after that. Although it's not always obvious, most of the time your baby crying is them trying to tell you something. Are they hungry? Especially if they're rooting, so basically looking for a nipple, turning their head lots from side to side, or if they keep putting their fingers or fist in their mouth. Do they need winding or a good burp because they can't burp themselves at that age? Does their backside need a change? Fairly self-explanatory, but I wouldn't recommend sticking your finger in the nappy to find out. Are they overtired and due a nap? They could be bored or overstimulated, or they might just want a cuddle and some attention. I always hope to be this one because let's face it, baby cuddles are the best, especially when they do the little froggy ones with their legs at the beginning. If none of the above is working, you might be really unlucky and your baby could be suffering with colic, which causes otherwise healthy babies to cry more and for no apparent reason. While this is horrendous for you as parents, the good news is it's usually nothing to worry about for the baby's health and it does pass naturally. I'll include a link to more information about colic in the description, but if you're ever unsure, just go and see a medical professional. Breastfeeding isn't easy. There is some chat out there that exists that says breastfeeding is the most natural thing in the world. Our reality, and the reality of almost every other parent we know, is that actually getting the hang of breastfeeding is hard. Lola struggled in the beginning with attaching and then feeding properly, which was really frustrating for my wife Lauren. Even when Lauren thought she had it nailed after Lola was feeding correctly for a while, one day her nipple radar just suddenly went kaput and she completely forgot how to do it for no rhyme or reason. The turning point for us was attending breastfeeding clinics. Not only did this give some practical tips such as adjusting positioning slightly, but it introduced Lauren to a network of other mums who were also struggling and were able to share their experiences. The bottom line is, if mum is finding breastfeeding difficult, just reassure her that this is really common, it's not anything that she's doing wrong, and that there is stigma-free help out there if she needs it. A quick side note, if you do go down the breastfeeding route, you might be lulled into thinking that this will actually be a little bit cheaper than having to buy formula all the time. What this doesn't take into consideration is mum's tendency to do some online shopping during those 3 AM feeds, which I can assure you will dent your wallet harder than any formula on the market. Warning signs include various unexpected Amazon parcels turning up on your doorstep and having your utilities cut off because you can no longer afford your bills. Food for you. While you'll be fixated on baby's feeding routine and adjusting to their growing stomachs, a healthy diet for you is probably the last thing you'll be thinking about. But it is really important, because if you're not in good shape, then it becomes really difficult to look after your bubba. Make the most of supermarket delivery services, throw some ready-to-eat fruit and veg into your online basket, and pick up some of those vitamin chewies or tablets just to make sure you're keeping yourself in the best nick. Lean on your loved ones too. If your friends and family want to buy you a present after the baby, rather than everyone having the same idea and turning your house into a florist, ask your loved ones if they wouldn't mind perhaps making you or buying you something you can put in the freezer and then throw in the oven when you need it. Be ready to be flexible. Inevitably, you're going to listen to other people's experiences, read baby books, and you're going to come up with plans of how you're going to deal with certain things, and then you realise that they don't actually work for you. This definitely happened to us. We had her next to me, next to the side of our bed for Lola to sleep in, but at the beginning, she wasn't having any of it. We were also given a Moses basket though, which she would sleep in, so at night time we started putting the Moses basket inside of the next to me, like some sort of Russian doll, just until she got big enough that she was happy. Looking after babies is not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. If something's not working for you, don't be stubborn, try changing it up. Productivity. Be prepared for this to nosedive. Those of you who follow the channel might have noticed that the rate I'm putting out videos has fallen off of a cliff, and it's because this beautiful little person is an absolute time drain. Now obviously I expected that while my baby was awake she would demand my undivided attention. I naively thought that I was going to be able to get loads of stuff done while either Lola was sleeping or Lauren was entertaining her. The harsh reality is you find that any baby free time you do get is either spent on things like cleaning up or cooking or washing up, and then even when you are properly baby free, you're just so exhausted and running on autopilot that you can't concentrate. If you can be super organised or your baby miraculously sleeps throughout the full night, yeah, good one. You might still be able to carve out some time for some non-baby related activities, but in the beginning at least, you're probably better off making peace with the fact that things ain't gonna happen. Going back to work. Depending on your leave entitlement and your financial situation, the amount of time you might get at home with the baby in the beginning can vary dramatically. But whenever you do go back to work, it will almost certainly be with very mixed emotions. For me, I had a sense of guilt for leaving Lauren at home to look after Lola alone, and I actually found that I really missed them during the working day, even more than I thought I would. No offence, girls. On the flip side, it was nice to get away and think about something other than being dad for a bit. The hardest part about all of this is when you come home after a long day at work and the baby is thrust upon you straight away because mum needs a breather. Now this is totally fair enough when mum's had them for 10 hours straight and hasn't peed since breakfast, but when you come home and you're frazzled, especially if you've had a rough day at work, this can be really tough to take. Both of you think the other has had the easier day, and it can become really easy to fall into the trap of grouching at each other for no reason. I don't think there are any easy fixes for this one other than being aware this exists, chatting about it with your partner, and always trying to be empathetic and see the other person's side. You do get used to that new normal after a while though, and like many things on this list, it does get easier with time. Smiles. There's no denying a lot of these points on this list are highly taxing on us as new parents, so our little squishes have to offer us some kind of mental sustenance to stop us from completely losing the plot.
I've been losing my mind.
Between 6 and 12 weeks, most babies begin smiling. You can see little smiles earlier than this, but these tend to usually be reflex smiles, or certainly in our case, gassy smiles. But when you eventually do get your first proper little happy smile, that's a special moment. We were lucky enough to have caught Lola's on camera while we were out for a walk. The best bit is that after that point, you start getting more and more smiles as the weeks go by, and they start to show their enjoyment of you talking in this voice and pulling silly faces at them. Not getting used to it. Lauren and I discussed regularly that we went through the entire 4th trimester without ever really feeling like Lola was ours or that we were official parents. It felt like we were looking after somebody else's baby on loan, and that at some point someone was going to tap us on the shoulder and say, "Thanks very much, we'll take her back now." If you do feel that way, please be assured you are not alone, and it does get a little bit easier with each passing day that you keep the baby alive. Capture the moments. Babies develop and change on a literal daily basis, so you can't take anything they do for granted. I think everybody is brilliant at taking lots of photos, but I would really recommend taking lots of short videos of your baby, and then you can put them together into a reel and keep it as a memory. I just think it gives you so much more of what they were actually like at each stage of their infanthood than a still photo can. I did this for Lola, and I made a video where she grew 3 months in 3 minutes, and it actually made me quite emotional pulling it together. I'm really looking forward to being able her to sit down and show it to her when she's older. She'll probably be totally unbothered by it, but hey, it's a nice keepsake for me and Lauren at least. I'll link to it in the corner in case you're looking for some inspiration. Now, I am reliably informed that the 4th is definitely the final trimester, so if you can ride this period out, you will officially be a Mester graduate. I'm also slightly less reliably informed that the following 17 years and 9 months of parenthood will be much easier going. Of course, what I've discussed in this video isn't an exclusive list. There's so much more you could cover, so please do share your experiences and tips in the comments below, or any other ideas for videos you'd like me to make. As always, thanks for watching.